we believe this debate is about two things. Firstly, it's about the question of is it preferable for us to opting into the personalized form of higher being versus the religious organization in relation to the spiritual catharsis of individuals? That's first. Secondly, second question is about is it preferable for us, the religious institution in society, examining the nature of that institution affecting the social impact in the society. The idea, the burden, as well as the key premises which I'm going to substantiate in today's is as follows. One, catharsis when done in an oppressive way is perniciously harmful to individuals' spiritual worldview of catharsis. Second is about group, when it's group which has been the driving force of evil, being disappearing is good, even if our alternative envisioning of the world is not that perfect as opposition wants to expect. But further, let's engage with the idea of metaphysical higher beings on our side of the house, which don't, so metaphysical, higher being. So higher beings and metaphysics which don't exist in the real world, but it seems to have an extraordinary power affecting the personalized catharsis, the personalized belief for catharsis. For similar to the idea of God of Allah, which knows about the morality, what is a good person, those sort of things. If you deeply consider, when in talking about deeply contemplate alone in the night, for example, you will consider about your life and how you are able to have what is the answer for a good person, how do we act as good humanity, etc. And those sort of things are the ones we are going to subscribe into. We can have an idea of afterlife if possible, and personally speaking, I do have an idea of afterlife, even if I don't subscribe into any religious institution. That's my personal belief that it can happen in a logical sense. But also, I would say that equal conversation is fine on our side of the house. For example, what kind of books is going to have affected to contribute to the idea of good life? For example, Ms. Shisan and I can have a conversation in an equal standard, but the crucial difference is whether or not Ms. being Alex is an authoritative figure, indoctrinating our conception of good life and morality of a good person, or something like that. The difference of idea of authority, institution being imposing us a good life as well as a good person is a clear difference between us. If there's any clarification, I will delve into that later. Fine. So let's engage with the idea of how religious institutions is oppressing and has been oppressive, and that structure is never very less likely to change as it stands right now. There's three levels of exceptionally harmful and morally abhorrent features that a religious institution has been operationalized in our society. The first is it's inherently arbitrary and exclusionist, and furthermore, it is inherently arbitrary and exclusionist, and it's oftentimes imposed in hierarchical manner. So there's a multiple interpretations available when we take a look to read word by word interpretation or reading of Bible. For example, in Bible it says sodomy is bad, which means that gay sex is bad. But it does not mean gayness itself is bad. But in the real world, which is operationalized in the society, somehow religious authority as well as the institution interpret it. Just because sodomy is bad, which means that gayness in and of itself is something bad, which leads to the persecution of the LGBT community in Eastern Europe, America, and has been continuing, affecting the political institution in of itself, such as death penalty of the LGBT individuals in Uganda and in many African states under status quo. It is inherently oppressive. But furthermore, that we would suggest is undemocratically changed because the idea of bishops and authority is a core part of religious institutions. But furthermore, in indoctrinating process, the process has some certain history associated with hierarchy. That is why we don't have any female leaders in Christianity. There's no idea of black God, black Jesus in Christianity, ladies and gentlemen. So the history associated with oppression is continuing on and being justified under the name of orthodoxy. And what the right thing to do is going in tandem with the idea of historicity associated with an institution. That's harmful. That's why, because the oppression is of time and time again associated and referred, but history associated with that and tradition, orthodoxy. That's how the society and oppression is so harmful, and the persecution is justified on the basis of heresy. Your thinking as society identity is inherently harmful. But secondly, the idea of opt-out is just exceptionally difficult. Why? So the opt-out is never being allowed because at the point that you are born, you are said that you are, the idea of the practice of baptism Baptism, for example, is indoctrinating the idea that you cannot be changed the Christian identity from your birth, for example. But even if you want to get rid of that religious institution's idea as well as the customs, the violent reaction is waiting for you. That's why female genital mutilations, like acid attacks in many conservative community, honor killing, those sort of things is justified under the name of purity as well as orthodoxy. That's exceptionally harmful. We think thoughts should be free, and we think violent reaction against an individual thought is a crime against humanity. That's how it's so exceptionally harmful. And that's why personalized form is autonomous, non-real violent retaliation, and it can opt out on the basis of free will. That's a definite comparative advantage from our side. Takashi.
This debate is not so religious belief versus multiple types of religious belief. So still our paradigm, that is multiple interpretation, multiple types of religion exist in our paradigm.
Okay, I've already explained the multiplicity is exceptionally difficult to have because I've given a multi-reason. But if you side with the multiplicity, you're definitely siding with that. There's a variety of numerous amount of multiplicity because the individual autonomy is available on our side of the house. Inherently, you're siding with us. But second thing is this. Religion affecting society in an exceptionally harmful way. Recently, religious institutions have converted into an interest group. When we take a look at the statistics, the richest man in the society, in the global society. So the richest man includes the Christian leaders, for example. How they collect the money is a donation from the poor believers who have no choice but to donate to the religious institution because they believe that is the only way that they can be survived and are spiritually saved under status quo. But furthermore, the hierarchy allows the abuse, and that's justified under the name of spiritual absolutists. That's why child abuse in Christianity is not going to be solved, even if the police force is available. So the idea of state versus religious divisions is justified to continue on to perpetrate those sort of things as well. It causes war. Furthermore, inside group radicalized ISIS, Israel-Palestine conflict, those sort of things. Panel, we will suggest the alternative from our side is not that perfect, but it is certain, and it has been and continued to perpetrate, and religion has been a driving force of evil. We're exceptionally proud to propose.